All right. This is an exciting night for me.
Yeah, it is.
I have been waiting for this episode for, I don't know, 6 months now. Since the last time we talked about your rehab. Your rehab is one of my favorite things in the world to talk about, period.
He said that before.
I continue to say it because it's absolutely true. But I just think there's a lot there. And the last time that we recorded, we were fresh on Jordan's dinner table. I think it was the first time we'd ever sat down to record, period.
Yeah.
So we maybe or maybe not know a little bit more of what we're doing. Maybe a little bit or maybe not a little bit more
I
comfortable.
was just talking to Donnie about this. I was like, dude, I think we know a little bit less.
Like, we get some less wise.
It's possible. That actually, Bree said something like that the other day. She goes, "Yeah, you guys just were pretty raw and vulnerable on the mic. You guys just kind of didn't know what you were doing and just got on there. So I don't know. Maybe there's something there. Maybe you can rekindle that magic tonight, dude." All right. Well, I do. I want to talk about your rehab experience. I know Donnie, you got pretty hyped on his rehab experience again, all over again, and brought it up to him that I think it's time to do a part two. So I know there was plenty there that you left out.
Nervous. I don't know, man. I was like, I know you told me, like, we were talking about it, like, let's get back into your story, you know, like from the first episode, you know, Goomer goes to rehab. It was like we didn't know what we were doing. It was the first time we just hit record. We all got together. I remember that experience, man. I think in the episode I was like 10 months sober, and like we just cut it off because we were just like the limit was 40 minutes. That was the goal. We're like, damn, like, can we even reach 40 minutes? And we got there, and like I felt like there was a lot of fluff, a lot of things that I probably feel like I shouldn't have said now, like because I listened to it today on the
I
drive
love
up
it.
here, and I finished it off as we were outside smoking cigarettes and getting ready for tonight, and it was pretty. It's just I don't know. It's just one of those feelings like when you hear yourself, it's just like, damn, I sound like shit, dude. Like turn it off. It's really hard for me to hear myself.
I think it's great, but
Oh, well, thanks, man.
well,
But,
let's. I want, like I said, I really do want to hear some more about your rehab experience. You actually recently called your therapist from rehab, right? And
yeah,
from everything I've gathered, it sounds like this dude, in a short amount of time, played a pretty integral part in your recovery.
yeah, dude. They saved my life, man. Like that at the end of leaving that place when I got that news when it's like, hey, man, like you're going home. I was like, get the fuck out of here, bro. I was like, yeah, okay.
You felt like a prisoner who got his release papers.
I was like, yeah, get out of here, bro. Like, nice try, you know.
Yeah.
But now he's like, dude, I'm serious, and I was like, I don't, and then it hit me. I was like, I don't want to go. Like, I'm not done working on myself. Like, I was so awakened, I guess, you know. They say, you know, like up to that point wasn't like hadn't worked any of the steps or anything like that, but it was just like I got the glimpse of the power of the program and being honest with myself and like, you know, bits and pieces of how this recovery stuff works, and I was just blown away from it. Like that was like my spiritual awakening. I would say, and I wasn't ready to go. There's so much more that I needed to learn and heal from and just continue to work on myself. And I had to, at that point, I had to accept it. Like I let go of time. Like I knew my kids were okay. I knew that I was in a safe place. I wasn't like, I had accepted what I was doing and when the place that I was at, and I was putting in the work. You know, I was scared at the same time to leave rehab and obviously relapse and I just leaving rehab. Like I wasn't sure that I wasn't gonna find what I had found in rehab anywhere else.
I got you.
You know, like
Yeah.
it was just like that first time he felt like that bond, that honest, the openness.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
once like you know, like that group of people starts clicking and like
Yeah.
once someone starts sharing and then you start experiencing and then you just start you literally living and recovering with these dudes, and it's like a powerful thing that happens when you are in rehab or treatment and you stick around, you know, let's say the winners or
Yeah.
people that are actually like they get it, you know, they
Yeah.
hear that pop, you know, and the head comes out the ass, like that's the pop you hear. So it's like I didn't want to leave. I felt safe, and there's a lot of fear on. I just knew that I wasn't ready, you know, like to handle life on life's terms and be responsible. Like I was amped up to take life, and I was like, yeah, fuck yeah, dude. Like I'm gonna fucking do this. But like as soon as I stepped out, I was like, oh shit.
No, I feel you because there was that sense of like by the time I was leaving rehab is barely when I was like comfortable being at rehab.
Yeah.
Like I was like finally accepted where I was at, and I was like, dang, like I was like comfortable enough to like lay on the floor in the middle of groups, like type to like I was comfortable enough to do all the shit that people had been there started doing, you know, like by the time I was there, I was already leaving, you know, but again, I had it set in my mind, like I'm fucking out on this day. And you know, by the grace of God, I've been clean so far.
Yeah.
But you mentioned recovering with those dudes, and you guys like kind of had a pretty hardcore setup. You mentioned something where I forgot what it was, but essentially, someone would go on the hot seat, right, and everyone would just fucking unleash on them, pretty much, right?
Yeah, yeah.
I gotta imagine there's some funny shit that came out of that, dude.
Oh yeah, dude. It was flashback. Like I was listening to that episode, and like in that episode, I talk about my surrender moment when I reach out for help, and you know, being tied to a bed for like 7 or 8 days, and you know, having someone hold a cup so I can pee on it in it, and just sitting in my own sick and detoxing, and it was just
Literally your own sick.
It was crazy. You know, we were listening to it earlier, and I was like really trying to take myself back there because I take it for granted. You know, everything that I've learned, and like I feel good, and like I bitch and moan about like the simple things of life, and I get ungrateful, and I don't appreciate the things that I didn't have. You know, you talked about, you know, your bathroom. Like I didn't have shit, dude. It took my privileges away. It took
Dude, privileges, dude. I love when he talks about his privileges.
So I remember when I went to my bathroom when I got back home, and I was like, holy shit, dude, blown away that I had a mirror, that I had a toothpaste, toothbrush, you know, privacy, like all that stuff, man. That now that I'm just, I don't give a shit about it, you know. And that's the stuff that I need to like start thinking about, man. Like, anyways, so so I guess like recap, like I get tied up, you know, I get, you know, a difficult bunkie.
Matroetas, baby.
This dude's like constantly like masturbating, you know, on the wall, and it gets on me at one point, and I'm scared to beat the shit out of him because, you know, you go to like another, you know, in previous episodes, like you get kicked out of that, and you go to like a shittier place.
The craziest place on earth.
Oh shit! What? Where you were definitely not treated like an American citizen.
Yeah.
3 TV on your side doesn't give a shit.
Yeah, man. And it's just honestly like just like I'm scared to be like get emotional, man, because like I've really been like thinking about it like all day and stressing, not necessarily stressing out, but just being like grateful of everything that I did and all the help that place gave me. So you know, my bunkie, I get into it with him, and then I think that episode ends up like with that pen story, right?
Yeah.
That you know, a lot of people have related to it, or it's, you know, touched a lot of people, or I guess a few people, I guess, not like it's like, oh,
it's a great story. It's a great story.
But so in this so I leave off that episode ends right after that, right? So I go to any lengths, right, to go for my sobriety or fight for this pen, you know, like I get to know this pen, how it bleeds on paper and everything, and I finally started getting like my privileges back. Traumatized me with that,
dude. They fucking scarred Goomer with these privileges, dude.
I feel like they took away things that are just like necessities, not necessarily privileges. And they're like, you don't get your privileges.
Like human waste,
yeah,
and the ability to produce it.
You're like, I gotta go to the bathroom. That's not a privilege.
That's just like humanity. It's
gonna happen. Dude. So right, I finally surrender, tied up, fight for my pen, and I start doing all this work, right? I start making these assignments, and one of the first assignments they told me to do is write. The first assignment they told me, my therapist said, you need to write your autobiography. And you know, how old are you? And I was like 20 years old, and then I was about to be 29, and I was like a month shy or 2 months shy of my 29th birthday, and I started writing this my autobiography, and I was like, well, I don't even know how to start. He's like, start, you know, when you're 5 years old, your earliest memory, and then go by, you know, age, and he said front and back pages for the number of years that how old you are. And I was like, shit, 28 pages front and back, like that, I'm never gonna do that. Like I don't know how to read, I don't know how to write, like, I was trying to use all the excuses. Like, he's like, I don't give a shit, Goomer. He's like, just do it. So I started writing like my autobiography, man, and I started like remembering stuff from like kindergarten. And one of my stories, it's like, like I'll do that for $10. Like I start talking about like, getting into like, I guess you say, selling myself and stuff like that, because that's
Right.
something that I've always struggled, like sexuality.
Mm-hmm.
Like I've always been like coming from like a Mexican, really like, I guess, culture where it's like, um where that's not allowed, it's shamed on, like if you like the opposite sex, so to say.
The
um
same sex.
yeah, same sex, like, um so it's like I always had these crazy thoughts, right? So like I never had anybody like to talk to that to like talk or vent this shit out. Like I had crazy curiosity, like, like some of my childhood is like sexual abuse and
Right.
stuff like that. So I've always had questions, and I never talked about any of that stuff, man, in my family, and like no one really knows about that except like from like after becoming rehab. Like I was able to like have the confidence to talk about that stuff.
Yeah.
So like I started working with that, because like the longest time, like I had like this biggest fear of like being gay, right? Because I was so intrigued and so curious by like love or connection and stuff like
Right.
that. And I always, like, being the youngest, like I would always admire like my older brothers, or like I would idolize the bad guys in movies and it. So
Same.
like almost like if my brain was like, we like
Go against the
yeah,
grain type
go
shit.
against the shit, it's like confusing that with attraction and love, and like, something along those lines, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
like, and like certain things that I would say, like I'm the youngest of five, but I grew up really close to my sister. So like growing up with my sister, like I remember seeing like, musicians like with the shirts off, like, NSYNC and fucking, and I just like, I don't know, like I was close to my sister, and like always watching that, and I always wanted, like, I admired their bodies, if that makes sense, like it's like I want that, you know what I mean? But in my head, I'm like, dude, am I gay? Like, why do I like this? And like my mom was hardcore about it, my parents were hardcore. Like I can't. I remember, I think, like the image is really like hazy, and I remember tried talking about it with my mom, and like, dude, she fucking flipped the fuck out, dude, like completely flipped out. And I was like, well, I
But
can't,
she wasn't aware of the sexual abuse that you went through at this time,
no,
right?
mm-mm.
So, and this is something that we were talking about recently, actually.
Yeah,
And I'm actually, I was never gonna bring that up. That is something so personal that
yeah,
that's your own timing stuff.
uh,
But I have to imagine that's a very, very confusing way to be introduced to sex.
yeah,
And I think that's something that we were discussing. And I'm not gonna sit here and talk about it like I have. To the best of my knowledge, I have no personal experience with that, right? Unless something was seriously suppressed, but to the best of my knowledge, I have no experience with that. So I will preface anything I say, but I can't speak firsthand on that pain, that trauma.
right,
Um, but one of the things that we were talking about is because you were talking about like your relationships, right?
mm-hmm.
And maybe how you were entering unhealthy relationships at times,
Yeah,
and it was almost like a codependency issue.
definitely,
Th- just because like I'm attracted to this girl or whatever, like it has to be a sexual relationship.
mm-hmm.
I don't know this for fact, but this is something that we brought up. Being introduced to sex like that at an early age might have caused some confusion on how to have just a healthy relationship with love,
Yeah,
right? Just like between friends, right? So
mm-hmm.
to me, I'm listening to that and I am not at all surprised that there might have been some confusion at an early age after going through such a traumatic experience like
Right.
that.
That experience was like, and it was like with like the same sex, a dude
Right.
or a guy or boy, whatever, man, whatever. Um, so like that kind of like confused me, or whatever happened that day, like going back to my childhood, that experience, like whatever happened, like it wasn't. I remember leaving that person's house, dude, and it was just like not like,
Do you mind saying how old you were at this time?
um
If you do, that's totally fine. But
I don't know, maybe I want to say like anywhere from like 7 to 9, in between. Like I knew I wasn't probably 9, but that's probably like a safe guess. Like I knew I wasn't like 9 or older than 9, but I
right,
know it can't be like younger than 7 or something like that. So around that age gap. And so so I remember leaving this person's like house, and like, and having this experience, and not having a problem with it. If that, like, I just like, it was just something that I was like, what the fuck?
well, there's no shot you know how to process that, right? I mean,
Yeah. and that's something I work with my therapist because I felt like it was nothing. It was like a secret. Like I knew it was wrong, but it felt good.
But that sounds like a survival technique almost.
Yeah, maybe I just felt so wrong.
Well, we had this last testimony Tuesday we did with Brandon Lee. He said like one of the things that he talks about because it's in his story as well, and he's totally non-anonymous, so I think it's okay to say this. But he talked about as a child, and he is a gay man, right? But still, as a child, like that's survival mode, right? Like that's that survival technique, and we act in ways that are going to protect us and survive, like just survive.
That makes so sense now that I think about it. It was something I didn't want to do, and I felt uncomfortable. I knew I wasn't ready, but it was so like overwhelming and empowering moment that I was almost like, all right, well, if I let this happen, then at least I can walk away out of it alive. Type of thought process. Now that I think about it, but that's something I talk about with my therapist. And I was like, started being honest, open and honest with him, and I just remember like it was nothing. And then later on, like I could see how that affect me in relationships, like sex and like suppressing these feelings and emotions that I'm just like love and all this shit became, it was almost like a numb feeling. I always felt like, and I never talked about it, never explored it and I had more than just like one experience with that. Right. And I kept it a secret. I was like, whatever, like I'm not going to stress anybody about it, but like it was whatever. Anyways, moving on. So I started being honest and I started writing my autobiography. And like I remember being like super like sexually attracted to like my first grade teacher, dude, Mrs. Dude. She was hot as hell.
She sounds hot.
Nice.
She was
nice.
Redhead, bro, long curly hair, white blouses, orange shorts, dude, skinny.
The white.
Toned calves, dude, with yellow heels, dude. Like she was a young teacher, red freckles everywhere. Like I just
I'll be back, guys. Time out.
So I started writing my story, and I started going into details, and these things just started coming out, and they say pen and paper, and it just started pouring out, dude. Yeah. And that's where that whole story of like my pen comes from. I couldn't stop writing, and I started discovering all this stuff about me, and I was just like all these questions that I have toward myself, and all the stuff that I was suppressing with drugs and alcohol started coming out, and I started exploring them, and it was emotional. It was hard to look at, but I couldn't stop. Like I was like, I'm in it to win it. Like I'm really gonna start like working on myself. Like, and at that moment I was driven by family that missed me and like the kids at home and just coming to a realization like, fuck, dude, I can't live my life like this. Like I can't, learning so much about that. It's like, dude, I can't drink or do drug ever again. Like it's a wrap. I made a decision. It's like I'm done. I finally got to a place and I surrendered and I came to a realization of like, I'm fucking done. Like no matter what happens, I'm not picking up or drinking. And so I started writing my journal and my biography, and I started discovering like a bunch of fucking stuff with me, man. Like a bunch of stuff, dude. And it just felt so good to finally free it. I was like, oh my God, the power of just talking about it. Like I started discovering that tool, and at this point, like in the past episode, like I finally had built confidence in my counselor, and I told him like, hey man, are you my friend? Can I trust you? And I just took that leap of faith, and I was like, they said you need to start being honest and get everything out, because it's going back to that. What that dude would say, it's like people out there are not gonna fight fair. Right. So I had to heal and work on myself so I can get ready to be out there in the world and not break, knowing how sensitive, emotional, and self-centered, egotistical that I am. Like trying to correct all these behaviors. Like I really got my ass to work, and I didn't give a shit what anybody else thinking, dude. I started working, and so I started doing all these assignments, right? And I learned so much stuff from this thing, dude. But I didn't even finish my story. I think I got up to like second grade, dude.
Holy shit.
Yeah, I remember second grade because I left it off at like, I was living in Colorado, and I remember I took off from like my parents, and I left the whole day like just catching tadpoles on this like low like little fucking canal water with some friends. And I remember coming back, and like they had an Amber Alert for like the group of friends. It was like shit, dude. And like I remember that moment because my dad like grabbed my hand at like so pissed, dude, and he smacked the shit out of my ass, bro. Yeah, dude. He was so pissed, bro. I got the worst ass whooping ever in front of everybody. My dad did
I had that same experience one time. I did that same thing. Me and my cousin out of nowhere decided we were just gonna hide. It was a family party. I'm like 5, 6 years old, and we just decided we were gonna fucking hide, bro.
Nice.
And so we hid in my cousin's van, and they're calling for us. And finally, we hear somebody call 911. And that's when we came out. Same thing. Fucking ass whooping right in front of the whole party, dude.
That's embarrassing, huh?
Oh, yeah. I had to play it off like I was like, it hurt. I was like, you know, like,
oh, no, I broke, dude.
Like,
My dad had like frying pan hands, dude. He's like a fucking strong ass motherfucker, dude. Calluses, like everything, dude. Like,
right.
he whooped my ass, dude. And like I come outside, I remember that day, and like I was asking like for my neighbors to come out and play. And they're like, "No, we're grounded." I was like, "What's that?" I just got ass whooped.
You should have just took the ass beat and you wouldn't be grounded.
For real, yeah, dude. Ass whooping over grounded all day. For real.
That's the worst, dude. So at that point, dude, I was like at 50, 60 pages, man. I was barely in second grade. So I went every thought, every emotion, every feeling I was pouring into my journal and went to complete detail. And I was amazed by the stuff that I was suppressing and like discovering about myself. And I would get stuck and I would go to my therapist and like, you know, a couple pages like, "Hey man, I discovered this. Let's work on this. I have questions about this. Like, can you help me figure this out?" So I started working with him in that way. And he and I got stuck at one point, and he was like, "Dude," he's like, "if you get stuck, it's probably that not that you don't remember, it's your brain protecting yourself from those feelings and those emotions and suppressing them because you don't want to go down that path." So I really just like I would stop, I would take breaks, and I would just like, you know, like, and then I would just skip it or and then it would come back. Like I would make those breakthroughs in my head, and I was like, dude, I'm not stopping. I'm getting to the bottom of all my shit. And it's one thing that like Donnie's always said, it's usually like rooted to like your childhood. And I truly believe that everything down to my favorite color, why I like Spider-Man so much, dude. Like it was amazing, dude. And one session therapist is like, "What do you want out of this, Goomer?" I was like, because they would always say like, "You're a coward, you don't know shit about yourself, this and that." They would just treat us like shit at the rehab. And I finally just told them, I was like, "I want to know who the fuck I am. You guys keep telling me that I don't know who I am and I can't think and my brain doesn't work." And I was like, "Well, then fucking tell me, help me." And he gave me like this assignment, and it's like, "What's your favorite color? Who's your favorite character? What do you want to be when you grow up?" Like a fucking, it took me back to like a child like assignment you get like in second, third grade, dude. And I couldn't fucking answer the questions, dude.
Why?
I don't know. Like I knew what my favorite color, why it was red, but then he was like, "Why? Why?
Well, what'd you finally come up with?
It just rooted down like the like my sister, and it got connected to like my brother-in-law and like admiring like the first like my brother-in-law that you guys like met.
Yeah.
Like he was like the first role model I had, you know. And not to say like I like he impacted me so much to get on the path, but not having a dad around so much, I had a lot of questions on how to be a dude.
Right.
I think that's why I'm like, when you say like, dude, you're really good with your emotions. Like my mom's emotional, my sister's emotional, and I was really close to them growing up, so I know how to communicate with emotions and feel things deep. But I couldn't hide them and protect myself from like when I was out in the world. So I would get bullied a lot, I would get picked on a lot, and it would fucking break me. And I hated that about me,
dude.
So,
Not to cut you off, but I was the same way, dude. Like, just because I'm the youngest too, and then I have 2 older sisters and my mom. Like, my emotions are not the emotions of like a normal dude. Like, I have like the emotions of like usually like, women freak out. I'm like
straight up,
like
dude.
I'm all over the place. Not that all women are like that, but it's just
good save.
I was waiting for that one.
Cancel culture.
But no, it's just because I was the youngest and just only had sisters like that. That's just how I am emotionally, and so I relate
it
with you on
sucks,
that.
right?
Yeah.
Like growing up and like being in school and stuff like that, like, and you don't know how to like like in a healthy way, how to control or feel or even tell yourself it's oh fucking K.
Yeah.
And that's where it's like, well, I grew up in a generation like, don't be a bitch, like don't cry about it, suck it up, man. Like, you know, everybody gets a trophy. Like that type of environment, it's like, nah, dude, like no one gets a trophy. First place gets a fucking trophy and stuff. Like a very like that type of background. So being so emotional, like I just knew how to play the fucking part. Like I became really good at just playing the fucking part and making you think that I'm okay. Being a shy, timid, sensitive kid, all I knew how to do is just like I don't talk much and I keep my eyes to the ground, and I'm polite, and people will leave me the fuck alone. And I just that's how I just carried my whole fucking life, and it worked for a very, very, very long time. Even in my addiction, if I'm high and I'm fucked up, my natural state that everybody knows me and see me grow up in my family and people around me. If I'm quiet, look down, it's like I'm being shy or just quiet. It's like, dude, he's just being goomer. That's why I became so good at like hiding my addiction to the point where it's like, yeah, I was drinking with my family and like that was okay and getting fucked up with my family, but like hiding the dark shit, the meth, the fentanyl, the heroin, all that stuff, like they didn't really know about that stuff, dude. And because I would use those like survivor mode like stuff that you were talking about, like to hide my addiction in it, and it became a vital tool to fucking denial and just deep learning how to get away with so much shit, dude. Like it's crazy.
Well, and that makes so much sense to me because, you know, again, not the same experience, but regardless, like with that sexual abuse, you right off the bat had an immense amount of confusion as to who you were, you know, or how to deal with it. Which, and everything that you're saying, man, like this snowballed into a big, I can't let people know who I really am.
Yeah.
And when you hide yourself that much, I have to imagine at some point, at least for me, if I'm hiding who I am that much, eventually I don't even know who the fuck I am because I start believing my own lie. You know, so to go through that causes a serious disconnect, right? Not just from like God or spirituality or people, but from myself. And if I don't know who I am, that's how I get in rehab and people are fucking telling me you don't know who you are. And I'm trying to figure it out now.
Yeah, dude, it was a journey. It's crazy, man. Like now it's just like coming out. It's crazy how much I've trained myself to like play the part, and fake it till you make it, and really not know shit and being too scared to raise your hand. Like, hey, teacher, help me. Hey, dude, I don't understand this. Hey, can you help me? Like that was like an fucking fear because I didn't know shit, but I was so embarrassed and I was scared. Like I knew that I didn't know anything, but I didn't want you to know that I didn't know anything. So if I could fool you and get away with it, like then I'm good. Then I'm good. Then you don't think I'm a fucking idiot, loser, dumbass, or whatever, right? So that became like my fucking my way to live life. So I started working on like deprogramming myself and answering those questions, like, you know, going back to the color red and, you know, my brother-in-law and like the bond and then just all kinds of stuff that I did it with him like at a young age, man. And it was like the first older brother that I experienced and like a male role model. And he's like, he taught me shit that, you know, like I had a conversation with him and he was just like, dude, I'm sorry for the stuff that I showed you at an early age. Like you weren't like prepared for that, whatever. And I was like, dude, like you have no idea what that did to me when I moved from Yuma, a small town, to the big city. Like learning all that shit is the only way I survived in a big fucking city by myself, no friends, nothing, dude. Like those street knowledge or whatever you want to call it, you know, it's like that helped me out so much. So forever I am grateful for him at least letting me tag along or taking me like that. Whatever, if it's inappropriate or whatever, like I'm proud and I will keep those moments to me like very dear. And so I think the next question was like, who's my favorite character? And it's Spider-Man. And I remember lying to my therapist. I was like, dude, like, and I told him I don't know why it is. But at the end of the day, like I started journaling and asking questions. And at the end of the day, like the simple question was like, I just liked his body. I just like Spider-Man's body. Simple. I thought he had a cool fit, long, lengthy, looked like me, dude. Like he's always like cut, like fucking dope ass, like positive attitude, relatable character. Like it just came down to that. But I was so scared to tell him that I wasn't like, goes back to that sex stuff. It was like I'm so scared to talk about it. Like, and I finally just vented out, and turns out his fucking favorite character was Spider-Man 2, and we started getting into deep conversations about that, dude. And every session, like I only got to like the third question, bro, and it was like 20, 30 questions, dude. And like that took like 2 months, man. Like
damn.
Yeah, so I really wanted to like, my goal was to finish that sheet, but I never got to finish it. That's why I was like, dude, I'm not fucking done, dude. That was only one assignment.
That's crazy.
Isn't that crazy how you have those fears of like saying that, or like once you found out the reason, and then like as soon as you get that out, it's like,
what's
like
the big deal?
The other person's like, oh yeah, I think that way, or like totally, that's cool. And it's like you just build that like up in your, because I do the same thing, sitting here listening to you talk. I mean, I know it, like we've been friends for a little while now, but I'm just like, you and I are so alike emotionally.
Yeah, dude.
And like I don't know if I've even communicated it like the way that you're communicating it now, because I like everything you're saying I just relate to through all the fears, to when you're saying like, if I don't show you I'm stupid, you don't know I'm stupid, right? So like I totally get that, and I relate it to, and I really relate to you, and I get how like that little thing that you build up inside your head, and then it's like, once as soon as you tell someone, they're like, okay, yeah, Cool. What a fucking, that's dope. I feel the same way too. Like as you said that, I was sitting there thinking, I bet like thousands of people like
totally.
the reason they like Spider-Man because he's got a fucking dope ass Spider. That's why I like Spider-Man. You know, and it's just like I don't know. I'm just kind of in shock at how like we are emotionally.
No, dude, like like since I started hanging out with you, like I get you. Like certain things, like I get you, dude. Like I do, like, and I relate to you a lot, man. And I just like, fuck, dude. Same with like that young kid that comes around. And, like he's so much like I guess us or like, and we're all really relatable. We're all a lot. There's like probably maybe the background, the place we were born or anything, but there's a lot of people that are fucking the same. You know, that's cool about the rooms. You know, that's the honesty that we start sharing, and people are like, dude, me too, man. Like,
well, yeah, I think it comes down to like maybe the experience isn't the same, but the fucking feelings are the same, right? Like that feeling is there,
right?
So like you, just like Jordan's saying, like maybe we didn't share the same experience, but damn, he's vibing with how you feel emotionally, you know, like, and I think that's so important. And another great thing that you touched on, Jordan, I think, and this is something that my sponsor talks about too with me, is like we think we're gonna like drop this 4-step on our sponsor, and they're just gonna be like, "Oh my god, get the fuck out of here!" You know, like,
no,
you nasty motherfucker. I quit. You know, I've never seen that happen. I've heard of one instance that has happened, but out of the hundreds and hundreds of people I've seen, I've never heard that happen. So I think I just wanted to highlight that point that. Dude, whatever we say goes that unique thing. I'm not unique. You know, like I have felt that way. You're explaining how you felt. I have felt that way. You know.
Speaking of that, you know, I'm redoing my 4-step. Like just started it with my sponsor like a couple days ago, and I even told them straight up. I'm like, there's stuff that I didn't tell my sponsor like the first time I went through, and I'm like, and the crazy thing is, it's not even that bad. Right. But I was so afraid to put it on, and I'm putting it on this one. But it's just that fear thing, you know. You think that it's gonna be, you're the only one that's gone through this or that thinks this way.
Me too. Like when I did like the 5th step, I was just like, I didn't write some stuff down, but because my brain told me they're not that big, and I don't really want to tell them, and they're just gonna go away. But they fucking don't.
They do not,
and they become fucking this big. Dude.
Every time we think about it, it just multiplies and multiplies. That one little thing turns into this huge
reservations, man.
Huge fucking thing. And I love it how you guys share. Like all of our experiences are different, you know, but the feeling and the emotions and the defense mechanisms that we are programmed, like from, you know, I was just reading that book like right before this. And talks about going back to that, like the child state of mind and like the dreaming and like all that stuff, dude. And I'm a big believer in like the early childhood development or programmed from the ages of 0 to 7 is like the most. The child state of mind is called a theta state. That's like literally when we're programmed, and that's how like through meditation and stuff like that you can get back to the theta state of mind and retrain your brain and tap into your subconscious mind through that. Like and I learned that from someone that studies like psychology and reprogramming the brain. And a lot of times our subconscious mind and our defense mechanisms are so strong that we can't even tap into the fear-based whatever our defense is coming from. Like we can't even tap into that. And like you said, dude, I journaled. Like the biggest thing that I learned is when I'm overthinking, I have to put pen to paper, dude.
Yeah, you're big on that. I remember.
Like when I'm overthinking, I pen to paper, bro, and that's how I organize my thoughts. And then when I'm not thinking about anything, and I'm just in that, you know, nothing, then I read because then it activates my mind. And one thing, dude, that I learned, it was like all my thoughts when I'm thinking, my mind's like blah 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 blah, just spitting out fucking useless thoughts, and I have to ask myself, are these thoughts useful to me?
No. Most at least
when I
me.
ask myself that question, are these thoughts useful to me?
Yeah.
It's like, holy shit, none of them are useful to me at all.
That's what we're talking about. Like last episode that we dropped, dude. What was it?
Crack rockets and eye sockets.
Yeah, that one. When I talk about like living in God's will and like being in my little will, like the best way I put it, because I started thinking about it, and like you're like, dude, I get what you're saying. It's like trying to do the next right thing and putting that into action and doing your best ability to work in God's will. But in your mind, you're in your will. Like you're still entertaining your will, your thoughts, the shit that you really want to do, and you're just like, but your body is fucking doing your best ability, the next right thing, you know, next right action. Like that's the way I could describe that. I've been fucking struggling for a minute, And like you said, like speaking about it and talking about it, I'm like, what the fuck am I doing in my head, dude? Like
a whole bunch of running, bro.
nothing, dude.
Nothing productive, man. And
I'm not even
like,
experiencing the now, which is bullshit.
I know, dude. And the whole defense and the chameleon, like, you know, I wouldn't say anything like growing up in school and stuff because I didn't want to be judged at all. So I wouldn't say anything. I would just,
That's
you know,
big, man.
just be like solid, straight face, show nothing, ask no questions. I wouldn't ask questions because if I asked a stupid question, then people would fucking, you know, laugh at you. And through someone else that I listen to a lot, you know, he talks about through the decades and whatever centuries of mankind, like we are meant to be together, or like, you know, back to cavemen and shit. So say there's like a group of people, right? And we're out there surviving together. And if you do something to piss the group off and they kick you out, you're going to die. So that's like where our survival comes in nowadays, is like, I don't want to be judged because that's fear in my mind to be kicked out of society or of the group. And that's where a lot of shit is already pre-programmed in our minds from years and years and years of not wanting to be or not a part of, because then we're gonna, it's, you know, that's how we're surviving, is together.
Makes a lot of sense.
It's what is it called? Primal state of mind.
Primal state of mind, dude.
Yeah, that's.
Well, that makes a lot of sense. Just like, I mean, us staying connected to each other in the program, right? Like
that's what I thought of when he said that.
Like when I start disconnecting and I start going on my own, like I've heard it put like a wolf pack, right? Like I've heard it put it as a wolf pack, like the wolf. I found a wolf pack.
A wolf pack.
Did you really just give him credit for that?
No, that's not even close to where I was going.
Exactly what you just said.
That is a happy mistake. That all right. That's what I meant is when we leave the pack. Never mind, dude. Fuck it.
No, go for it.
That's why when you go in the meetings, they say stay in the middle of the herd. Because if you leave, you die. You know, you relapse, you leave the program.
Essentially the point, yes.
Yeah, I got what you were saying, bro. I got you. Wolfpack, bro.
I didn't mean to bring it back to video one.
I found my wolf pack.
Remember when he howled? He's like, oh.
It's fucking intro video.
Anyways,
for anyone with any questions, do a deep dive on our Instagram. You'll find the video we're talking about.
Our first Instagram video.
Free shirt. First one to respond to that.
Oh,
anyway,
fuck, dude.
What was that?
You're just talking about that assignment, man. It sounds like, I mean, we had intentions of diving into your rehab, but I mean, I feel like this assignment alone, we could go on for days, man.
Yeah.
You went really deep into this thing.
Oh, I went deep. I really wanted to like finish that. So that's where the whole that's what I was doing when I was like, you know, I ran out of ink and I needed another pen. Like that's where that story comes from. That's all the stuff that I was doing, like pen and paper in it. And it helped me release it, man, and figure things out. Cause it wasn't like, it was like pen and paper was holding all these words and thoughts, and then I had room to like think about it and like ask myself questions.
Did you find it harder to lie to the paper?
Fuck no, I wasn't lying to myself at all.
No, but I'm saying, so like, because it's kind of one of those things, like when I'm talking to myself in my head, like I can convince myself of some bullshit. But my sponsor was telling me,
can you really though? Like, you know, though, right?
Dude,
like, I don't think it's possible to lie to yourself.
Bullshit, I did it for like
I think
15
you
years.
can convince yourself,
which is lying to myself. I feel like if I've convinced myself of okay, I understand. But what I'm saying is, when you went to put that on paper, right? You started spitting shit out that you didn't know about.
Oh yeah,
right. And was it? I'm saying, was it okay? Let's put it this way: was it easier to be honest when writing it down than it was to say it out loud at the time?
I mean, I guess.
If not, that's fine.
It wasn't for me because like a lot of the shit that I knew I was misspelling it, but I knew what it said. You know, so like that fear of like not reading and writing is like the fact that I had to read or write something. I was like, fuck that. So not really. As long as he told me that I was gonna read it to him, because the embarrassment of like handing an assignment and having like misspelled words and all that shit, like I didn't want to go through that. You know, I'm like 28 years old. I didn't want to fucking go through that. So all this stuff happened, and damn, my phone's blowing up.
Must be nice.
I'm gonna flip it over so I fucking see the light.
All your notifications.
So as soon as I felt comfortable with myself, you know, writing, then yeah, it became like really easy, and I wasn't lying to myself. Like I kept that notebook everywhere with me, so I knew no one was gonna fucking read it. Like that's just distracting me.
Sorry, man.
So like, but yeah, no, I couldn't lie to myself. I didn't lie to myself. And but anyways, so I do all this writing and I start working on myself and this and that. And finally, they told me I got my privileges back, bro.
Privileges,
The
baby.
privileges.
I finally start working, right? They're like, all right, he's putting in the work. We'll give him his snacks, and fuck, dude, those snacks were the shit, bro.
Hit
Like,
different.
hit different, dude. You get a sugar tooth when you're detoxing, dude. So like,
I couldn't eat, but
dude, I had to get the sugary shit, dude. Sugariest cookies. So I started like working. Things started going good. Like I started looking up, like like I started accepting all this shit, and started getting my privileges back. And I finally get to talk to like my mom on the phone, dude. And I just broke down, dude. Like I broke down, dude, and that's when like they told me not to have reservations because most of the time that I was in there, I was like, damn, dude, I got some pills at that spot. It's like, damn, I got my pipe waiting and got a little dub when I get there. Like I'll just do it one last time and then I'll start. And I told my mom, I was like, yo, these are all my stashes. Like tell my brother to clear it out because I was like, I don't want to see it. And it broke her heart, but she was grateful that I did it. And they're sitting in a room like this while I'm on the phone with my. Like they're listening to everything. Like they're just on your ass. So, and I didn't care. I was like, I just took the chance to talk to my mom. So they gave me my cookies back. They gave me my phone call back. And
bathroom,
all this stuff. I got my slippers and sandals now. And so I thought I had got all my privileges, right? So a visitation comes, and when I talked to my mom, she was like, hey, like when they tell us that it's okay to go visit you, we'll go see you. And then that was a Thursday. We would get our calls on Thursday. So Saturday was visitations. And I was already expecting, like, dude, my dad's going to come, whatever. I was so excited, dude. I went through all this shit. I was working on myself. I wanted to tell him, just wanted to see someone. Right, fuck. Right. After that experience. So we're in our room and Saturday comes and everybody's getting ready. And I thought like I was doing such a good job and it seemed like I was getting all these pats in the back. So I was like, dude, like I'm definitely like my mom told me like they were going to come and see me. And sure enough, man, they come into the room and they do a roll call and my name doesn't get called. I'm just like, fuck, dude. Like, and they watched me get ready, dude. Like even my counselor came down and he's like, hell yeah, Goomer, get ready. It's like, like showing that you care and they want to see you good and all this. So I'm combing my hair, dude. And I was like happy as shit, bro. Like at this point, I was like happy and I was cool. I had accepted the rehab and all this stuff. And my name doesn't get called. And I was like, they're fucking with me. Like, nah, they're just fucking with me. They're just testing me. They're testing me and testing me. And this emotion, dude, just like was so overpowering. And I got my journal and I started writing. I was like, I don't know what I'm feeling. Like, I'm fuck these motherfuckers, dude. They're setting this shit up, all this paranoia and fear. So I started writing it, but I couldn't hold back the fucking tears, dude. And I started like running down and I'm hiding in my bunk bed all curled up, dude, like trying to hide from everybody. Everybody's having visitation rights. And my counselor was sitting like on the floor, like right next to me. And like, I could have easily asked him, like, one of the counselors, not the one that signed to me. I could have easily asked him, like, hey, man, like, can we talk? But I didn't want to. I was like, nah, I'm a man, dude. Men don't cry. Like, it is what it is. I'm going to tough it out next week. I'll just work harder. But the emotion overwhelmed me, man. And I just broke down. Even, like, another dude that I was talking to came up to me. He's like, what's wrong, dude? Like, you sad that, your parents didn't come and see you? And that was the truth, but I didn't want to admit that. Like, I'm a 28-year-old man. Like, I didn't want to be like, nah, man. Like, I still want to be that too cool for school attitude. Right. And
dude, I was all about I gotta call my mom every day the whole time. I had no shame on it. No, I was like, I gotta call my mom.
It is, dude.
I got to see my wife and kid for 15 minutes when I was at rehab just because they drove up to drop off clothes, and they allowed me to like sit there for like 15 minutes, and that fucking like got me through, dude. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that communication, that thing, I feel you, bro. Like I don't blame you at all because I was in a super broken, vulnerable state, man. So something like that go a long way. So I mean, to go through that high of expectation and then fucking they don't show up.
Yeah,
it's devastating, man.
Yeah. So motherfuckers. And so they didn't come, right? And I broke down, man. The first time I just cried. I couldn't control it. Like, I'm like, couldn't breathe or crying. I'm running to this upstairs, like to the counselor. And I was going to drop his name, but I'll leave it out. I go up to my assigned counselor and he's like talking to the security guard about something. And I was like, yo, dude, like, I don't know what the fuck is going on. Like, help me. Like, I need to talk to you. And that was like and then he pulled me off to the side of the room where he did the sessions and I'm just crying and crying. I'm like, fuck, dude, fuck. He's like, what's wrong? I was like, I don't know. Like, I think I miss my dad or like what's going on, this and that. And I was like, dude, I've been working my fucking ass off. And I was like, dude, I just want to break these desks. And I was throwing everything in that office. And he was just looking at me. I was like, I just want to break everything. He's like, go ahead, break it. He's like, fucking break it. If that's how you feel and that's what you need, fucking get it out, dude. And he's like, I ain't gonna judge you. And I finally calmed down. And I started talking to him. And he started like asking me about expectations. I was like, why aren't my parents here? Like, I've been working my ass off. And he's like, Goomer, let me ask you something. He's like, how many times have you told your daughter, the oldest one, that you're gonna go pick her up and you don't do it because you'd rather go hang out with your boys or get high? And I was just like, like a lot, man. I was like, how long? He's like, how many times? I was like, years, dude. I was like, and then we started talking about it. I was like, well, tell me some of the times. And I started remembering like for years, man, that my first baby mom would call me like, you fucking asshole, dude. Like, she got ready for you and like you just stood her up and she's crying and making a throw fit. And I'm just like, whatever. Like, I'll see her next week. Like, she's fine. She's a little kid. Like, she'll get over it, whatever. And for the first time, I experienced that emotion, and it was just like overwhelming, man. He's like, dude, he's like, Goomer, he's like, I want you to fucking remember this, man, because I don't ever want you to do that to your little girl. He's like, you've been doing this for years to her, dude. And he's like, so yeah, now you know what she feels, man. Every time you stand her up and you tell her something, you don't show up as a dad. He's like, that's your fucking job, man. And I was just like, fuck, dude, that shit just broke me. And I was like, I'm too embarrassed to go out to group. I was like, can I just go back inside? And once you're in group, you can't go to your room. Like, once we're up in the morning at 6 in the morning, you can't go touch your bed unless it's like shower time and get your stuff. So I'm just sitting there. I was like, can I just get a moment to gather myself because I'm too embarrassed? And I was like, what do I do? He's like, you got to start doing all of this, bro. He's like, you need to start working the program. He's like, I was like, so what do I do? Do I go over there on the podium and start talking about it? Do I talk to you? He's like, dude, it's all of it. And that's when I learned, like, you can't just cheat. You can't take shortcuts on this shit, bro. You got to do the whole fucking program or else to be spiritually fit and not to relapse and not to go back out.
Or just to live a reasonably happy life.
Yeah, dude. So I leave that session, dude, and I sit in group and everybody literally was like away from me, man, because I was just crying. I couldn't control it, dude. And I was just like in my notebook and I sat there for like 2-3 hours, man. I was just like fucking just writing. And everybody just like was letting me just do my thing, just let it get out. And I finally just started speaking up, dude. I finally snapped. Finally snapped. I was like, fuck it. And like the thing that was like the next day, I go to we have a speaker. And I remember his name, man. And he's the one that I named my disease after, dude. This old man comes with a wheelchair, man. And he starts talking about like he used to do all this stuff. And he told his story. Nothing relatable. Couldn't look more opposite. Couldn't live different lives. But he started talking about like this, having a disease. And after reading that book, like he just painted such a vivid picture in my head that I was just like, holy fuck, dude, I'm sick. Like, I have a disease, dude. I can't control this shit. I'm done. Like, if I want the life that I want, I have to be completely 1000% done. Like, this is it. The last time that I got high, that's it. I'm done. And then so his name was like Howard, dude. So like he started like saying it's an 800-pound gorilla waiting for me outside, and he's gonna jump on my back as soon as I leave, and you got to start working with all this stuff. And so like that's when like the light bulb went out, and like having a disease and the thoughts and all this shit. Like I started detaching my first thought. Like stop putting emotion, instinct, and action behind my first thoughts. Like I really started being like the watcher of my thoughts. I started separating. And the way I started doing that, I just named my disease after that dude. I was like, dude, all right, it's me and Howard. Like it's Goomer and Howard, like from now on. And every thought, every sick thought, every bad thought, every fucked up shit that I was thinking, that was Howard. And I was like, dude, that's fucking Howard. That's that 800-pound gorilla thinking for me. And I started like visualizing putting him in the cage, and I snapped, and I went to my counselor, or one of the counselors and my therapist. They were like having lunch or something like that. And I was like, I'm fucking done, dude. Like, help me. I'm done with these thoughts. I was like, why do I think of you naked? Like, I'm scared of you. Why do I hate you? Why do I fucking want to undress the fucking nurses every time they pass by? And like, why do I think I'm gay or not gay? Like, what the I fucking snapped, bro. And they're both like sitting there, dude, just looking at me. Didn't say a word. I go on this rant, bro, for like 2-3 minutes, dude. And he's like, all right, Goomer, sit down. You have arrived.
Hell yeah,
Congratulations. He's like, congratulations, man. And
did you specify?
nah, dude, so I was just like, dude, like I got like honest, man. I was like, well, he's like, why do you think you're gay, bro? Like, you've been like talking about this. I was like, well, dude, like I have sex with my girl and like I like a finger in the ass and all this crazy shit, dude. And like, dude, that doesn't make you gay, bro. Like, chill. Thoughts are just thoughts, dude. Let them go. Like,
did he know about your childhood stuff though?
Yeah, at this point, like he had known about all this stuff too, and so I was just like, holy shit, dude. And I started working on that, and I finally like started finding my sexual identity and all this stuff. When I started struggling with childhood and stuff like that, man. And I'll never forget that speaker, man. That speaker, like, that's why H&I is so important, man, because you never know what someone's gonna say. That dude changed my life, man. After that, I arrived and I surrendered, started doing my service commitments, dude, and you know, I can go on and on, dude. Like, I don't know how much time we have, dude, but I just started going through like some crazy experiences, man. Like, I just got to work, man. Like,
you arrived.
I arrived.
Well, I love that. Like, I think that there's so much there in just your dad not showing up, right? And that fucking emotional breakdown, which to me now sounds like an amazing thing that happened to you in rehab, because that led to this like, fuck it, this is who I am and this is what I'm thinking, and that another level of surrender, right? Like, and without that, and that makes so much sense to me. The way you came into the rooms and shared, you know, like I felt like we vibed so much off of each other, especially early in recovery, because we were both in there like, I don't know if I'm gonna fucking make it today. Like, this shit is, you know, like I'm sick, dude. I was like, I'm the dog that returns to his vomit. I'm doing it, like all that shit, bro. So like, I feel like that experience like allowed you to share so openly and honestly.
Yeah, that's the foundation of my program. It's like, be completely honest. Like, dude, like I don't know shit, dude. Like that. It's one of the first things, like, that's my first tool. Like, I broke when I got there. It's like, I asked for help. Hey, man, I need help. Was a counselor, another patient, or whatever, dude. It's like, asking for help is huge. With a thought, an action, idea, or a plan that you have. Like, that's why picking up the phone and running your thoughts, dude, like, it's important. Especially in early sobriety, it's important, dude. We're on the phone all the time, dude. Like, I had some dumb fucking ideas, dude. Still do.
I think this episode has been so good for like, especially a newcomer, because I mean, I'm sitting here just loving it, and I think there's so much more we can talk about. I think we are getting short on time, but
I took away a lot from it. Like, I just love, like, I've said it multiple times before, and kind of like what Dylan was saying, like, even when you share in the rooms, like every time, like I remember when I first came in, you'd be like, oh man, I don't want to share. And like, cause we were doing the outdoor meetings, and then someone would like pick you and you're like, oh man. And then you would just drop like the most relatable thing to me ever. I was like, I feel that way. I didn't know how to explain it, but that's me. I do that too. I think, now hearing your experiences into why, what helped you and kind of why you're able to do that is really awesome. And I not like the word, I want to say like I envy that in you, but I admire. That's what I admire that about you. That's amazing, man.
I love it.
Thank you. It's just like really like, as much as people like fuck around or act a certain way, or you take someone else's inventory, or like, that's why it's important. It's like, you know, attraction rather than promotion, dude, because you never know who's watching. Yeah. And like you go into the rooms, and like at least for me, my experience, man, like I took that leap of faith, and I was like, dude, this is a safe place, and people came out. Like Donnie, I shared. I was like, yo, I did this, and that. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. And Donnie shows up after the meeting. I'm like, hey, what's up? I'm like, bro, personal space.
I was all up in your shit.
Dude, I didn't know how to react to that, dude. Like I can't, like, you know, like when people like.
Have you started taking cold showers?
No. get that close, it's like those are fighting words to me, dude. Like, what's up, dog? Like, you used to square up real quick. He was on that Captain Recovery shit, dude.
I love it.
But I mean, I can go on and on, man. I don't know how much time we have.
Well,
If you want to cut it there? Or?
I think we save it for some. Go ahead, Donnie. But.
No, I was just gonna say, man, those earlier days, I forget, dude, about all that stuff, man. And I like Jordan said, I admire how you were able to convey all those, your feelings and emotions through your words, because I always can't do that, But all the different things that happened to you throughout your rehab, experience was like there's just certain levels that you got just broken down to where you exactly needed to be, man. And like mentally and emotionally broken down, like not physically. It's that emotional pain that you had to experience and go through to be able to build upon that, like afterwards. And I think it's so big, man.
I had to feel it, man. They took my drugs. They took my privileges. I had nothing to numb it out, man. And it was like, that's why like I'm so grateful for that place, dude. I love that place. I really want to go back there and just, if I get to speak, that's fine, man. But at least show, like, because I know going into that and how they treat you and that experience is like, this is a jig, like, this is all like just for money and get money out of people and patients. And like, that was my thought process too, man. But there are genuine people that do those type of jobs that truly care. And I want to be that person. Like, I really want, like, I love this shit, man. And I relate to like a newcomer, and like if I go back there like in August is my plans or our plans like for 2 years, dude, and I just want to be like, yo, dude, like this is what happened to me in this place. I'm still sober, dude, and after that maybe we can go fucking explore Tijuana.
Oh fuck! Oh yeah, we ain't gonna make it. Oh yeah, 2 years. First grade teacher gonna be there.
I hope so. Don't think about it.
It was a good run.
Good run.
Yeah. Oh man, that's.
Well, you said two things, man, and we'll end it with this unless you guys have anything to add. But you did say a couple of things that I think can be life saving. You got extremely honest, and you put pen to paper. Those two things, as a newcomer, can save a life, man.
But the first principles, after the step is honesty, man, and then pen to paper. That fourth step, they say the fourth is better than what? That they always say that.
Doing a fourth is better than a fifth?
Yeah, something like that.
I don't know, whatever.
We hear it a lot.
Better than doing a fourth is better than drinking a fifth.
Yeah. I mean, we hear it like that fourth, that those are I took those tools very seriously in recovery and sobriety, man.
Dude, I just love, like, it just goes to show the whole, cliche of like the hardest and the most painful situation, you grow from it, dude. And like, that's what I see when, like, I see you now from back then. It's just like that painful and extremely stressful, like everything about it, dude. But it just grew you into this fucking amazing person now. And like,
thank you, man.
Dude, I love it, dude. It's great.
Well,
hell yeah, dude.
Guess that's all the time we have for right now. Right?
Well,
we'll have to do a part 3.
Dude, I'm so down. Like I said, I think there's so much, dude. There's so much.
The trilogy.
Yeah, fuck it, dude. It's going to be a series for sure. All right. Well, thank you, man. I truly thank you for that. And anyone out there who needs to talk, Goomer's willing to speak to you, right? You want to drop the number?
928-276-1905.
Oh, yeah. It's on our Instagram as well. Yep. So thank you guys. Donnie, Jordan, Goomer, thank you so much for keeping me clean today. Oh, shit. Oh, Donnie. Dude. Wait. Yeah, no, dude, fuck that. You guys haven't kept me clean yet. Donnie, with the Daily Donnie. What?
What time is it?
Whoa, it's the Daily Donnie. It's the Daily Donnie time. Thank you, Jordan. Thank you.
All right.
You guys hype this up so much that I'm like, you feel like I under-deliver.
I feel like you're trying to get out of body to watch yourself say the Daily Donnie.
I need that, dude. Today, anything of value in life that is multiplied is given.
The Daily Donnie.
The Daily Donnie.
Does that make sense?
I don't quite understand it, but
I like,
go with it.
I like the stare down you gave Dylan after the daily dog.
I know, no shit. All right.
No, I think I said it wrong, but it's all good.
that's what,
Well, we're gonna go with it because I've had to take like the biggest piss.
Is
for
that why
about
you've been
30
crying?
Dude,
That look on your
yes,
face? You're
yes.
just like,
I'm trying so hard not to piss my pants
this
right now.
motherfucker's tweaking on it.
Yes, I'm trying really hard not to piss myself. So thank you, Goomer, Jordan, Donnie, for keeping me clean today, officially. Everybody out there, thank you so much for being a part of my recovery. Like, subscribe, share the show, leave us a comment, reach out to us if you need to. Thank you so much for listening to another episode of Not So Not.